All right, this is just this is Kim Haney. So I've put together a few of these slides, videos, just to kind of help review a few things with you. So this is just the warm up basics, just some things to go over. So essentially, we're looking at a warm up. I feel it is one of the most important pieces of a fitness class or an exercise session. And it is often overlooked by all populations, maybe with the exception of organized sports and athletes. It is something very much important part of the practice schedule. So warm up is basically a light to moderate movement before the intense activity. I always say, go get sweaty. Just go get sweaty, get the blood pumping, get your heart rate up a tiny bit. Warm up those muscles. And we're looking at two types. There's your general warm up, and this is just jogging, walking, um, again, that getting sweaty, easy biking, marching in place, generalized exercise. And then there's the specific part of the warm up. So this would be your practice drills. So the best way I can explain it is if you're doing yoga, you would want to do some yoga drills, beginning level stuff to warm up the joints that are going to be stressed in yoga. If you're going to be doing a 5K or a run, maybe doing, a little bit more jogging, pick up the pace a little bit. If you're going to be playing basketball or volleyball, there's jumping and side shuffle type of mechanisms or movements involved. So just kind of taking a look at those two types of movements. So why do we warm up? Prevents injury, perhaps enhances athletic performance or performance in general, prepares your mind and body and sets the tone for the class, improves joint mobility. So I want to bounce back up to that enhances performance. So especially with athletes, we want them, they just don't hit the floor and perform. And I think the best example I've seen, and you're welcome. The next 5K you go to, the ones who are at the front of the race, before they get there, they've done probably a 3 or 4 mile warm up before they actually run their 3.1. They're readying the body for performance, and that's the best way to do it, is to, beforehand they do their warm up. So again, it's not just necessarily the workout, not that you have to run 3 miles before you do a workout, but you do want to ready that body. So as far as injury prevention mechanism, and frankly, there's not a whole lot of research. There is some, but very little supporting this. But we do know that warmer muscles means more flexibility and maybe the least likelihood to strain a muscle. And also it just helps increase joint mobility by when you move your body. It helps move the synovial joint fluid around so you get more lubrication in the joints, and it kind of readies the body more for performance, leading into the performance side. And again, the whole idea with those 5K, 10K people, when they are working out or that movement brings oxygen into the muscles ahead of time, again, readying the body, works on reaction time and coordination. And in the long run, it may help with boosting endurance. So the mental readiness piece focuses on motivation. You kind of, get people, kind of get the mindset, get them back and get them into your class mode, get them off the daily hustle, uh, eases them into the pre-exercise anxiety. Maybe they're a little nervous, and starting easy, you're not going to terrify them or scare them away. And again, I love the mindset, going back and just setting the tone for the class. So we're looking at three parts to the warm up. Again, just that light movement. Again, nothing faster than a walking pace or a jog. I'm not a fan of any jumping movements in this phase. The dynamic stretching, and I'll go through that in a minute, and then sports specific movements or activity specific movements. So dynamic stretching. So when you hear stretching, you probably think of the traditional, bend over, touch your toes and hold that pose or that stretch for 30 to 60 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's called a static stretch. All right, so static stretching is holding a pose and creating some sort of change within the muscle, lengthening the muscle. We're talking about dynamic stretching. So, this is, again, an easy kind of warming up, readying the body for those functional movements. So, the arm circles, walking lunges, leg swings, high knees. To see some really good examples, go to a track meet. Or watch track athletes warming up. They are fantastic at the dynamic warm up. Watch a high school basketball team, a football team. They spend the first, 15, 20 minutes, 60 minutes before a game doing dynamic stretching, mixed in with some static stretching. But for the most part, we want them the dynamic movements, which means movement, is part of that workout, the warm up. Some of the common mistakes, the biggest one I see is going too hard too soon. um, I've seen that a lot. I mean, there are some people I've literally that are out there practicing as fitness instructors who start off like, going hard, fast, and I'm like, "Where's the race? Just slow down, ease everybody into it." Even the athletes, I mean, I work with high school athletes and you bring everybody into it, slow and easy. Static stretches, as I talked about, you don't really need to do the static stretches necessarily in your dynamic warm up. That's the stuff we like to save for the end. Don't skip the warm up. Even if you're running late, do your very best to, do the warm up. And again, it's not a one size fits all the time. Again, working with high school athletes, and that's one of the things I do. I take a little bit of a different approach to than if I was working with the breast cancer patients when I do chair exercise class. It's the same kind of stuff, but maybe my intensity is a little bit higher up with the athletes, and some of the movements maybe are a little bit more challenging. So again, why does it matter? Safer, better workouts, absolutely. It's good for both for physical and the mental readiness. And it is just 5 to 10 minutes can prevent an injury and boost performance. And again, the populations you may be working with, they may not be young and athletic or young athletes. They could be starting to get a little bit older. And older means over 21. When people that, we start getting older, and if you're not as active or beginning exercises and, have somebody jump right into something, it's not fun. And our whole mission is not only to get people in shape, but to make it fun where they want to come back. So I will, after this, you're going to see some videos or photos of some nice, easy warm ups that we do for a general fitness class. And again, this is general fitness, a low impact type of a class or a boot camp type of thing. There are plenty of resources out on the internet to get ideas, but this is just a start. I wanted to add a couple things here just to address some of the stuff that came up in the class last night in regards to warm ups. So you're looking at basically two types of warm ups, and I just have two screens opened up here. So there's your choreographed warm ups that you would find in your group fitness classes, where maybe it's dance or your low high impact classes where you're hearing that instructor counting things down. Okay, the count classes. So we're going to run this a little bit. So this is your, even what I demonstrated last night when I was counting down the workouts. We were doing 8 count, and then we did 4 count, and then we did 2 count, 1 count. This leans into that type of a warm. So as you can see, when in doubt, march it out. That needs to be made into a T-shirt. I swear, merchandise. So we are just marching it out. There is movement. You're kind of setting the tone for the class. The beats per minute, I'm guessing, are about 120 beats per minute, 110. We're just warming things up, and you don't hear him counting, but I'm guessing he's got a beat going on somewhere. So with the set, maybe he doesn't want to count. Maybe he's just kind of going with the vibe. All right, just watching everybody doing the movements. And once you start a movement, give it some time so that everybody can catch up with you, right? So here is our routine. Yeah, this is definitely choreographed. All right. So there is your counting. Might be some 8 counts in there, some movements, little choreographed warm up. And then you go over here. All right. And this is more like that circuit. I'm going to let these folks just talk, and actually, I'm not going to let Doc, we're going to talk over them. So they're just a continuous movement. So you're going to notice nobody is doing any type of static stretch. Everybody is moving, moving, moving. You're moving the arms, moving the legs. You're going to see, I'm not going to watch the whole video here, but they're going to do some rotational stuff, some high knees, some low knees. So this is definitely a space that's restricted. There's not a lot of moving around. So they're not going to be doing wind sprints and things like that to warm up. They're just going to loosening everything up. There's no counting per se. They are probably either looking at time. So hamstring is one of my favorite warm ups. I love hamstring sweeps. They're probably either doing counting, like meaning like 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, or they're just going with that vibe. Yeah, let's do 4 or 5 on each side. All right. And then if you look over here, again, professional athletes warming up. All right. These are your receivers, what it looks like, I'm guessing. Running backs, and they're just doing half drill, right? They're doing a drill, but it's at pretty much half speed. So again, warm up, you're looking at half speed, maybe 3/4 speed movements, just to warm that body up and get it ready for performance, whether it be chair exercise or you're a professional athlete. So the key is there's no static stretching. It may be a tiny bit here and there, but honestly, you're not going to see too much of it. The goal is get sweaty, get moving, get the heart rate ready, get the muscles ready for activity.